Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm in charge of talking about express entry. I know we have mentioned before about express entry and how important it is for the immigration in Canada, and I'm gonna try to give you an overview what express entry it is. Actually, express entry is not an immigration program, but is an immigration system that select the best candidates. So it is a point-based system. So as much points that you have, higher your chance to be invited. In this system, they will consider your education, language, and work experience. And if this education or work experience was acquired inside Canada or outside Canada. Language is considered the both official languages in Canada, French and English. So if you have a proficiency in one and a knowledge in another one, you can add both, or you can just go for one if you just have knowledge in one foreign language in Canada. So it doesn't stop there, because you have to qualify for programs inside the program. So one of the categories is skilled workers. Usually it's more used by skilled workers overseas. So it is considered your work experience outside Canada. The second category is federal skilled trades. It is professionals that consider a level of education, but also training, and there is a list of professions that you can categorize in this possibility as elders, cooks, electricians, and I think the most popular one is Canadian Experience class that requires at least 1 year of work experience in Canada, a paid work experience in Canada. After these three categories, express entry system will also consider and allocate some points to candidates who hold provincial nomination that can give candidates 600 extra points. A job offer based on an LMIA could give extra points as well. If the candidate has family members in Canada with a PR status or citizen, and of course they will consider for those with spouse or common law partners their adaptability to Canada passed through education, language, and work experience. So with all that said, I know it's just an introduction. It seems a lot, but I'm gonna give the opportunity to my colleagues here to start to talk more in details about express entry. So Craig, would you please help us to understand a little bit better about express entry?
Thanks, Tom. So I'll talk about the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is one of the 3 programs under Express Entry. This could be considered the biggest or main program because candidates in this category don't need 1 year of Canadian work experience. So it's basically the only option for candidates who don't have that connection to Canada with Canadian work experience, as so many don't have. And it used to be several years ago that this was an ideal program to come to immigrate to Canada because someone with, say, a bachelor's degree, fairly good level of English, and a couple of years of work experience outside Canada could come land as PRs without building any connection to Canada. But nowadays, it's very competitive to the point where you have to have basically a perfect profile to have a good chance of coming without a connection to Canada. So what are the eligibility requirements for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, or the FSW program? There are four basic requirements. The first, you must have at least one full-time equivalent year of skilled work experience in one NOC code, one NOC code, done within the last 10 years. So that's a long sentence. The important points are 1 year of experience. The job is skilled, basically, in the last 10 years. Next, the candidates have to have at least CLB 7 in English or French. This, if it was the IELTS test, it would be IELTS 6.0 in each language skill. The third thing is having at least a high school level of education. If this was done outside of Canada, they need an Educational Credential Assessment, ECA. And the last thing is getting 67 points at least in a 100 points eligibility grid. When I talk about points, I'm not talking about the competitive CRS score that they get ranked with other people. This is an individual score only to be eligible for the program. So they need at least 67 points out of 100. What are the points made up of? They're made up of the person's age, education level, language level, including English and French, and skilled experience level, as well as adaptability points for spouses, English level, if they have a job offer in Canada, things like that. So that's the basic overview of the federal skilled worker system, including the eligibility. Now we can talk about the other major program for those with Canadian experience, and I'll take it to Hugh to explain that.
Okay, thanks, Craig. So I'd like to talk about Canadian experience class. As Tom mentioned, Canadian experience class, or people commonly call it CEC, is probably the most popular program. Canadian experience class is for people who have that Canadian work experience. And in order to be eligible for the program, you have to have minimum 1 year of paid skilled work experience. So skilled work experience means NOC O, A, or B occupation. And how IRCC look at that 1 year experience is that they actually consider equivalency of full-time experience. What that means is that you need to have minimum 1,560 hours in the last 12 months. So that equals basically 30 hours a week. So if you work more than 30 hours a week, the excessive portion of the working hours would not be counted. In other way, some people say, oh, I've worked 50 hours a week, so I already have 1,560 hours in like 10 months. Can I apply for CEC? No, you cannot, because that experience has to be gained in minimum 12 months.
So in a way, sorry to interrupt. So in a way, it's sort of two requirements. One is the minimum hours and done over a minimum of 12 months.
12 months, yes, that's correct. And also, if you gain that experience as self-employed or while you're studying full-time, cannot be counted. So if you're a student, but after graduation, you get post-graduation work permit, that work experience gained on your PGWP can be counted for CEC. I mean, that's why CEC is the most popular program, because many international students, after completing their study, they get their PGWP and they can work in Canada for up to 3 years, depending on how long they studied in Canada.
Hugh, can you clarify to us the co-op, the schools that offer co-op, how that it's considered under the CEC?
Co-op is actually IRCC only looks at it as a part of your study. It's although you're getting that work experience, but for the matter of calculating your experience for Canadian experience class cannot be counted. And the second requirement and the last requirement of CEC is your language proficiency. So depending on the skill level of your job, you need to achieve either CLB 5 or CLB 7, or in a French test, same level NCLC 5 or NCLC 7. So CLB 5 is for NOC skill level B, and CLB 7 is skill level O or A.
So the important takeaway is that you need to meet basic requirements just to be eligible. Once you meet these basic requirements, you can create a profile and then go into the system where you're ranked with other candidates. But it's important to note that being eligible does not mean being invited to apply. You could easily be eligible, but if your score isn't high enough, you may never get an invitation to apply.
Our advice is that they work on their English or French tests so that they can achieve higher score, or also they look a little bit more long term. So instead of just getting 1 year experience, they can get 2 years or 3 years, which will give them additional points for their CRS score. And also lastly, if they study in Canada and obtain Canadian education credential, that will give them additional score for CRS, which will boost their chance of getting invitation.
I think for people that are not familiar, it's a lot of information. Of course, if you break down the information by categories as federal skilled workers, federal skilled trades, and CC, then you can understand those point-based and the minimum requirements. Then just having the minimum points in that specific draw, it means that you're going to be invited. But other than that, you qualify and you are there in the pool waiting for your shot. So I hope that helped you guys and clarify a little bit about express entry, but certainly we're gonna talk about express entry way more through our videos. Just stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. We'll continue to make new videos every week, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Thank you.